Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the LCP Blunt Talk podcast after Swiss edition. And I'm honored to have our guest join me today with us on the podcast. Please, our guest. Hi,
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Vestion,
Xin chào.
Duy
Hello.
Duc, and Kitty. Can you please introduce yourself to our audience, please?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, my name is Vestion. I am the play-by-play caster, primarily for the LCP English, and a very, very big CFO supporter. I think you've seen me here a couple times before, and it's an honor to be back on.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Duy Duc.
Nice.
Just call me a Dreto, LCP Vietnamese LCP caster. So thanks for having me today to talk about the worlds after the Swiss stage.
Xin chào everyone, I'm Kitty and I am a APAC co-streamer for the LCP and I also used to be an LPL caster for the English branch back in the day and I'm so happy to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for the introduction, everyone. And how your work experience going? We have like Duc, you're a writer, you're a caster. Kitty, you stream from day one, right? From China. And Western supporting CFO all the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's been an emotional journey. Obviously, World started fantastically. You know, we kick it off. CFO win, Team Secret Wales win. It's like, oh my lord, we're doing so well. Yeah, PSG, they drew Genji. It's fine. It's sacrifice for the other two. But then it got a little worrisome, right? CFO win their second game. Team Secret Wales don't, and we just keep losing from then on. I mean, CFO've looked good, right? Against Hoang Luan, they looked very competitive. They unfortunately didn't pick up a win. Against AL was a series we probably should have won. We won the first game. We looked really, really good in game number 3, and then Artikan spawned, and I won't talk about the rest. But then, obviously, today was the big one. Last chance, they made it through, and it's been honestly such an emotional day to have finally seen that success after so many years.
For me, I don't have a lot of chance to casting a lot of match in the Swiss stage. I just only do about 4 or 5 matches. But I think the world this year is have a lot of surprise, and I really like the result of this tournament. Yeah, I feel great.
Yeah, and I'm also feeling great because obviously this is post FlyQuest first CFO match, and CFO made it to the quarterfinals, just like Bastian was saying earlier. And I personally had a lot of high hopes for CFO going into the world stage because I was technically with CFO as a translator back at MSI in Vancouver, and they lost to T1 in that best of 5, and this time around they were able to find their revenge. And I choked. I choked. When I saw them win against T1, I knew that this world they were going far and they were definitely going to make quarterfinals. I'm super happy on how they did, and I'm also really proud of Secret Wales being a new team going to the world stage and being able to grab that one win early on as well.
So we gotta get this out of the way. How your Beckham doing? How many points do we have? Weston?
How many?
Ben?
Wait, what was the question? Sorry.
Beckham. How's the Beckham going right now?
Oh, my Peckham. Well, thank you for asking, Lou. I actually joined a faction. Now, there's 2 people in this call whose faction I could have joined. One chose a European team. The other one chose Team Secret Wales. So I joined the guy who chose Team Secret Wales. Our faction's currently first place, so that's going well. In terms of who I picked to get out, I think every single team I picked to get out of Swiss got out of Swiss. So far, we're doing pretty well on the pick'ems. Now, I didn't get the 3-0, the 3-1, and the 3-2s right, because I put CFO as 3-0. It was close, but didn't quite get there. But honestly, my pick'ems are looking pretty good, and I think I'm doing a great job of contributing to your faction here, mate.
Just forgot about my pick'em. I think it's dead. I choose the Genji for 3-0. Okay, Genji is gone, not 3-0. I choose the T1 for 3-1, and they play today. And the last one, I believe G2 gonna make a 3-2. So it's wrong too. And I set another family slot for Team Secret World, and they not in the quarterfinal. So I I think I screw up everything, and I forgot do the other pick'em about the champions, about the band and the pick rate. So I got nothing in the pick'em. Forget it.
Where CFO? Where was CFO in your become, Rachel?
I just pick a CFO can qualify to the
Okay,
quarterfinal.
that's
Yeah,
good enough.
and that's right.
Okay, that's a good start. I'm just looking at my pick'ems real quick. Justin told me that Hoang Luan's faction is number one out of the co-streamers, and I checked mine. I mean, it can't be number one. It's number so my fans, you gotta lock in. I believe everyone's pick'ems just got completely ruined by Gen G because they dropped that one series, and the only that I got wrong was BLG. I didn't know BLG to drop out of Swiss because they've never dropped out of Swiss stage before, which was a big shocker. And something I did get correct was that G2 got through to the quarterfinals over FlyQuest this time. So good job to me.
Just a funny story. Like Ben, you're my brother because when I show my stream the faction for become, I think like a lot of them defect to your faction, Kitty, because every time I'm online to call for more people to join my become, like half of them join your faction. I think the defector
Thank
make your
you.
score. No, I mean the defector
Nice.
make your score really slow. I think we have some like strict
We can
agent
come
in
back.
Kitty faction.
Dai Jobu, we can come back. It's quarterfinals games left, so we can make that comeback. Don't worry, we got points to get.
Okay.
I'm in the
Nice.
do team
Lou
too.
sent the
So
spies.
yeah, I'm in the do team too. So sorry for being a bad believer. Sorry.
Okay, so no one surprised about CFO performance because I think the big difference we watch them play all year long. We know how they're capable of. Kitty, you were with them in the MSI. Western, you've been like casting a lot of CFO game, and so do me and Rachel. I think that's the biggest difference because not many people in the West, I believe, in CFO, and kind of surprised with the result, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Kitty and I get to see this the most, but generally, like, I mean, opinions on CFO have gotten better since their performance at First Stand and then MSI until now. But there was a lot of doubt. Like, a lot of people still have them lower than FlyQuest, a lot lower than G2, and now we don't necessarily know where they stack up compared to G2 just yet. I think very well and truly they've proven that they are absolutely a top 8 team. And I think as well, what is most impressive is arguably you'd look at players like Junja and Doggo, and now the West gets to see what we've seen all year. And it's like, well, I mean, at the moment, I think this, even none of us, I think, would have expected. But Doggo actually, to me, looks like the best performing AD carry at Worlds. Like Doggo actually looks like the best player in the AD carry role at Worlds. Junja is definitely making an argument for at least top 3 in the jungle as well. And it's like, well, they're not doing anything different to what they did in the LCP. And I think that's what's surprising the West now more so than CFO are having a good run, because they kind of did that at MSI already. But it's just the way in which they're doing it, where they are just hands gapping some of the best players in the world a lot of the time. And I think that's what's really surprised people. And I think that's what's really brought a lot of people to become fans of them as well at this Worlds.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, I'm gonna take over because, yeah, I have a lot of things to say about CFO as well. I think no one's surprised that CFO, from our side, that they were able to make the quarterfinals. But like everyone is saying, because LCP is such a new region, it's the combination of VCS, LJL, and PCS. A lot of people treated the LCP with this like wild card kind of expectation going to Worlds. But I personally think, and I think a lot of other people are starting to catch on, is that LCP, CFO, they're slowly becoming a one team region, in my opinion, where CFO are so good and very secure at the top rank, where the other teams aren't really able to catch up. And I think the second place, third place, like you have Secret Wales, you have PSG going to Worlds, and that's kind of their expectation of a wild card team or LCP nowadays in 2025. But knowing CFO and their accessibility to scrim against LPL teams and LCK teams. I feel like just the potential with this roster, also including the fact that they're all very young, except for Kai Wing. I'm sorry, Kai Wing.
He's
You're
young.
young in
He's
the heart,
young.
you know?
Yeah.
Young in the heart. He's 18 years old in the heart, so he's still got a couple years. So yeah, I think CFO, they have a lot to prove on the international stage, and I'm really glad that specifically Doggo is getting a lot of traction on social media, especially from the West, where I know he had some slump years in the LPL, but I can really feel that like confidence going back behind his keyboard, his mouse. He's just gliding on everyone. And like Bastian said earlier, he might be some of the, I guess he has some of the most highlight plays that we've seen from an AD
Correct.
carry
Yeah.
player so far at Worlds. And I think individually he is very, very good and probably the star player of CFO this time around, where usually it's maybe Hongkyu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Doggo like completely fly under the radar before the tournament because right before World Championship, Riot decided to buff Raven, and everyone they talk about like Gumayusi or Hansama or other Raven player. No one talk about Doggo Raven, and now he's the only one who can like make play with the champion. That's like took everyone by surprise.
Yes, I
Yeah.
really like
Mm-hmm.
the creativity about the Sebo. Sorry, because forget about my part. I just 100% focusing or letting on band, so I forgot about my part. But we can see a lot of creative thing Sebo do. They pick a Swain this year. They bring the Nico and the Draven and show how they can perfectly control these champions. Today we can see in the match with the FlyQuest a really great plans from the CFO they make from the start of the game to how to increase the power of Dogo and can carry the team. I really like the idea about the Sebo bring into this tournament, and I think the biggest chance to Sebo make more winners win in this tournament is brings more surprise. The surprise factor is really important thing to Sebo to win the LCK or LPL in this tournament.
Yeah, and I think like one thing that has not gone as noticed as probably deserved is CFO, I think, are the only team so far to actually change the meta of Worlds. And by that I mean like before the Draven versus T1, everyone was just kind of picking Caitlyn first pick. They were just locking in Caitlyn thinking it's like the strongest AD. It's got its 2 AD buff, so it's definitely stronger than before. And CFO proved that you can't just do that because you can take the lane swap of a champion that can 1v1 Caitlyn, and all of a sudden, like you've got Draven in a solo lane against some, tank champion that can't do anything to him, and it's like, okay, well this Caitlyn's not going to work now. And so since then, we've not seen a blind pick Caitlyn come out so early in the draft anymore, and I think that is like really impressive for an APAC team first of all to define a meta in the way that CFO seemingly have been able to do.
But
So
we're not surprised about CFO performance. We also know from the start that CFO can make the quarterfinal and make a history about LCP.
I want to touch about the part that Kitty mentioned. Like, do we beat the allegation that LCB is a one-team reason? Did the team sit well and BSC underperform with their result out of this?
Underperform. I mean, I can't say that PSG underperformed, and like they lost a lot of their games because they just had terrible drafts, and that has been the exact same theme that PSG have had for 3 years, and it continues to be the same theme like over and over again. So I can't say they underperformed. Would I expect them to beat VKS? Yes, I would. But they lost because their drafts were just worse. I mean, game 3 obviously less to do with draft, and unfortunately, that game, Caster just kind of got out jungled, which, I mean, after some of the performances he's had, in the series prior, it was okay to see, he's allowed to have one bad game. But, I mean, I didn't expect much from PSG coming in. I think, they turned it on in the playoffs in LCP at the right time. They were able to beat GARM. They got here. They weren't ever going to really do much. And for Team Secret Wales, I think in some ways they underperformed. And I think that's possibly mainly Dyer. And I don't want to be too harsh to Dyer because, I mean, he's a rookie. It's his first year. He's 18 years old. Like, you're going to have nerves coming to a stage like Worlds. And I think it's like hard to expect him to perform, as well as he did regionally. But then you look at Histo, and I think he was incredible. I, in fact, think Histo played better at Worlds than he did a lot of the time domestically. So in some ways, Team Secret Wales did underperform. I think Hero as well had a rough tournament. But they also did excel in areas like Histo, again, I think was the star player for this roster throughout Worlds.
I agree with Ben. I don't think the PSG and the Team Secret World has underperformed. Even Servo still has some problem in the finishing of the game. So how can be the PSG and Secret World, who is really really weak, if we compare with the Servo, can beat some strong region? So we still need some more experience for Team Secret World to try to do something bigger in the future. So but we can see really great performance for some players and really good early game for Team Secret World and PSG. That's a good point.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think for me, I'm honestly super surprised that PSG even made Worlds to begin with. So I'll give them that one. Maybe they underperformed for a lot of people from PSG back in 2024 to the Talons of 2025, but they made it with a 0-8 start in Split 3. So that's already a miracle. And Maple and Karsa, they're still pulling their weight, but I think that roster for 2025 has always been about Betty, and Betty for this Worlds run just wasn't really able to find that carry potential that PSG relies so heavily on. And unfortunately, they fell flat through the Swiss stage. But something that I also wanted to shout out for our second seed from the LCP, Secret Wales, is Taki has been an amazing addition to the broadcast. I feel like he is showing off so much personality. I know a lot of people love his TikToks, love his dancing, and he is just such a charismatic person. And I know that when I was in Da Nang for the LCP finals, he was from Da Nang, that's his hometown, so he had a lot of crowd support. So I would love to see him express his personality more and for the world to know that we have such a nice player for just representing the region. And like Ben said earlier, I think unfortunately the underperforming of Dyer was a really big strain for Secret Wales because in the current meta, it's so dependent on mid jungle where you have your jungler on an engaged bruiser and then your mid lane would have usually a mage that could get early to mid game priority, where Dyer was really getting challenged in that mid lane and he wasn't really able to show his usual performance from the LCP.
Yeah. Also, I think it's okay for us to be a one-team region because this World's only the LCK
Better than
hasn't been
having
a
zero
one-team region.
teams!
Yeah, like the only region this World's who is not a one-team region is the LCK. So okay, we're a one-team region, but so is the LTA, the LEC, and the LPL. So whatever, man, that's fine.
No, LTA is zero team region. They are the only region that have no
True.
top A finish
True.
right now.
Yeah,
I
true.
was really nervous because I said to everybody if CFO lose to FlyQuest, we would be the worst region in World 2025 in the first season ever United region. So it's a huge relief when CFO beat FlyQuest to be in top A. So thank you CFO again for serving the face of our region.
How nervous were you in game one?
I'm
It
Very
was dodgy, man.
casting
Too
this one.
close.
My heart almost jumped off. I can feel the Seppo. They don't know how to finish the game, and the story is the same for the PSG and the Secret World. Our early game plans is always good, but they don't can control it after that. So I think our region still missing that killer instinct. We need to practice more and try to improve the ending part of the game.
In the same breath of talking about the mid jungle duo, I want to have your opinion because in the previous episode of Blend Top Podcast, I talked that home queue is still a little bit underwhelming. I haven't seen the home queue that we expect to see in World Championship in his first and biggest stay ever in his very young career. And Slater, he said that maybe because there are the bigger star who are shining bright in the silver roster right now. So Hong Kyu got a little bit like overshadowed, not underperform. So what's your take on our current, the only mid laner of FCB left in the tournament?
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting way to look at it, and there's in some ways I could agree because like the CFO early games have been largely designed around making sure Doggo's getting fed, right? Like where
Agree.
Junja's starting his jungle camps, where he's pathing to, whatever it may be, or if he's splitting the map, or if are we lane swapping? A lot of lane swapping happening. So it's like, okay, there's a big dependency on Junja to be at the right place for Doggo to be able to succeed. Which again, like we've talked about this before, in splits 1 and 2, a lot of Junja's time was spent mid. A lot of it was spent mid, either protecting Hongq or helping Hongq get leads or whatever it may be. And so it is an interesting angle, but I think even from that angle, there have just been clear mistakes Hongq's been making in team fights, which are completely regardless of any of that. And you could argue that maybe, yeah, you can notice them more because everyone else has stepped up, like Doggo and Junja. But I do think like there's moments where on Rise he's just missing random cues, or he's flashed to go get a root and he's not been in range and things like this. So I do think there is definitely a level of underperformance. I don't think it's a level of underperformance that he's necessarily being exploited for. I mean, you could argue maybe Shanks was able to do that. But I think it's like an okay level of underperformance. And it's also, I mean, a confidence builder the series today. So I actually don't have too many worries about him going forward. But I do think he's not at the level. But there could be outside factors for the early game. But the team fighting certainly hasn't been as good as it was before.
Yeah, I think because the Hongkyu is very shiny after the whole season, so everybody look at the CFO, they can know the CFO will play around Hongkyu, so CFO will change a bit of the plan, so Dogo can carry too. And because of this, Hongkyu need to play by himself a lot. No more Junjia, no more the people really can be have him in every time. So we can see a lot of mistake about Hongkyu today. Example for the match with the FlyQuest. In the time Dogo really can carry all the team, Hongkyu become the target for the FlyQuest, and he almost died about 3 times in a row. and maybe he can predict that in the future, but it needs to be happen less in the future.
Yeah, and just to follow up on everyone's points, I feel like Hongkyu has been making little silly mistakes where often when he would play a mid-game mage, or sorry, a mid-game control mage in the mid-game, he would often overgreed for these side lane waves and overstay. And unfortunately, because it is an international competition and you're up against 3 LCK teams in a row? Was it 2 LCK teams in a row? They're gonna punish you for these little silly mistakes, and it's just glaringly obvious on the international stage because it's no longer the LCP where you are versing teams from the LJL, the VCS, and the PCS, but you're versing people like Chovy, like Shanks, and you are seriously getting punished for it. And these little deaths do mean a lot because they're very good at snowballing, and I could definitely feel that in their series against AL.
I believe like I saw like flashes of the Hongkyu in LCB today with the Asia. So I trust that he can like perform like way better if he get a drift in quarterfinal.
Yeah, the Azir was really, really impressive. And one thing as well, like while he has been like underperforming on Rise, his realm warps have been insane. So
Yeah.
that is one thing that he has been very, very good at, and like I mean, exceptional on is utilizing the Rise ult, which is not always the easiest to do. So I mean, credit is due in some regards for sure.
I mentioned that
And we
Zero
can-
is a good team with like a team with good driver. The driver with Cyan and
Yeah.
Rest is also a good
Are you sure?
Cyan
Didn't
driver.
Jinja miss that?
And
Jinja missed the Herald?
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that play worked. That
And-
worked.
yeah, he's
No good driver, revoke it.
intentional. He intentionally like hit the opponent player with that and like missed the tower by an inch. And we have like Hongkyu with a good driving or piloting the ramp walk. So
That was so
Drunk
funny.
driving.
It was.
there's a question in the script about we have like a really interesting situation with the two team for LCP for World Championships. We have the youngest team in Team Secret Well, and the not so young BSG. I believe they are the team with the highest like
Oldest.
age average. So how do we see? Obviously, Team Secret Well we have a lot of room to improve in the near future. But BSG a lot of last stand mentioned after that run, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what PSG do. I think the best way to look at this entire year is like, okay, there is still some fight left in these aged players like Maple, Caster, and Betty. But who has been the most successful, coming out the most important part of the year? Well, it was the two youngest rosters. So like, there's got to be some thought about bringing in the young talent, the talent that have like the drive to improve more so than the talent that are at a level now that can compete for Worlds. You want to bring someone up that can compete not only to get to Worlds, but actually make it far at Worlds. And I think that's something that PSG really need to look to do because they haven't done that over the course of the last 3 years. They've used Maple the whole time. Junju was part of it. Obviously now it's Caster that came in instead. And I think, looking for some new upcoming players. I mean, Yijang could be someone if he came back from the LPL. That would be a good addition to the top lane. A very young player that has an insane ceiling that, maybe he wants to return home, maybe he doesn't. But yeah, I think looking for younger players is going to be key for them to sort of restructure their team and try and continue fighting for the prestige that has come with the PSG name.
Yep, I feel that way too. We all know now Kasha and Maple not can be hard carry anymore, but they still bring so much to the table, like the Kasha experience and the Maple leadership are really huge for everyone, every roster. But it feels like they need to focusing on guiding the new generation, so not trying to hard carry the game. So if they meant to take that role serious, they will shape the future of the LCP more than any region can do.
I have kind of like a different approach to this because something that I find very interesting is that Faker is quite literally the oldest player attending Worlds, but he is always there when you need him. He is always considered the best performing player for T1 after every single series when it matters the most. So what I'm wondering is that when Faker, when he recently announced that he was going to be extending his contract until 2028? I forgot, but it was like 4 years or 5 years with T1. Many more years he'll be playing when he's like 32 or 33 years old. Where the conversation is, I feel like nowadays the conversation might be, don't you think these older players are actually not retiring? You have players like Ruler, players like BDD, where the average age for some of these top tier players in the LCK is ranging from 26 to 28. And unfortunately, reality sets in, and some people do have to do their military service, which forces them to quit. But I do wonder if Faker himself is kind of changing this stereotype around how younger players are going to always be what is desired for these rosters.
Yeah, I agree because for other esports, I think there's not we do not lack like 30 something player who can still play at the very top. I mean, other like popular esports title, right? Like you have
Like
like
CS
Valorant,
too?
you have like Boaster. He's still playing at the
Yep.
very
Ah,
top. And
Yep, and
how old is he?
he's
30.
like 30 right
Yeah,
now, born in 95.
and he's still going
Yeah.
for next year. So
Yep.
the mid that player that esport player that like close to 30 get deterioration in their skill level. I think we can debunk that myth, and even after the last couple of games for Faker today. So
Yeah. But insane.
You
Still
still
great.
got it in him.
Yeah, I mean, there's also, Counter-Strike, I think, is the best example. Like, it's pretty rare to find a Counter-Strike pro that's under 30, it almost feels like. Like, they're just all old,
yeah,
We still have some people like Rain, like Carrigan, so the older people still
Yeah.
can play.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I think CS is crazy with, like, it doesn't matter how old you are, you seem to be able to still just be the best in the world, which is kind of like setting the way, I guess, or like paving the way for having that understanding that it's possible.
Yep.
Okay, moving to I think an interesting part, and maybe Kitty have lots to say. The NA versus EU. You are like under the G2 banner for this World Championship, right, Kitty?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes. Ah, thoughts, opinions, thoughts. Well, I guess we can get started with NA versus EU, FlyQuest versus G2, which happened recently, and it was a best of three. It was a very close best of three, went to all three games. And for people that are not aware of their history, I believe back in MSI, G2 lost to FlyQuest 0-3 in a best of five, and they completely bombed out. And if you include EWC, I guess G2 was able to find that little victory over FlyQuest with a 2-game win. And now another international. It was very, very hype. FlyQuest G2. It was a regional, sorry, it was a best of three for the quarterfinals very early on in the 3-1. So I think a lot of people have the opinion that it's easier to promote in the 2-1 than the 2-2 because we saw the 2-2 games today. They were really rough. The LPL, Top Esports BLG, I mean, even the T1 game was really close, and the CFO FlyQuest game, like game one, was really, really close as well. And there's a lot of high pressure because if you mess up, you are out. And so a lot of the EU fans were like, this is our chance because even if we lose, I mean, they can maybe try for a second time in 2-2. But I guess a little like background information is the reason why I'm supporting G2 is because I had an internship with G2 earlier this year with their socials team. So they gave me a job for temporarily, a couple months. So thank you. And I just really want to see the players do well. I worked very closely with the players, so I know their development throughout the entire year. And I personally am really proud of Labrov and Skumon. They're both the newer names on the roster from 2024. And specifically, I think Labrov has definitely shaken off some nerves going onto these bigger stages where I think the general opinion of these two players were that they were kind of choking on these bigger stages, especially Skumon, who was new. But I think a lot of people are saying that Skumon does have a very high mechanical ceiling because he was very hyped up in the tier 2 scene. And now that G2 have kind of fostered this environment for him to grow, they have a lot of expectations for someone like Skubon and Labrov. But of course, we have to talk about FlyQuest, and FlyQuest recently went out because of CFO, and I think unfortunately the reality is, I think their mid laner Quad didn't play as well as their last international, and some of their meta reads were a little bit more interesting, and I wouldn't say it's the most popular choices to go with in the big old 2025 patch 20. And I'm really interested on what you guys thought about FlyQuest's journey throughout the year. So hand it off to the like hot seat.
Do you want to go, Joe Top?
I think if we only look at the result, Evolve took this round. G2 finishing 3-1 and knocking down FlyQuest is a solid statement. So, but I wouldn't
Sorry,
say
got
it's
nocturnal ulted. I don't
domination
know what
either.
happened.
Okay, that's great. You can fix it. I will buy some time for you. But I wouldn't say it's a domination either, because we can see the player now is moving between the two regions. Player from NA moving to LEC, and we do it the both way. So right now we have a lot of discussion about who is the strongest. I think with the result, LEC is better, but LTA still has some point to give some credit about the LEC winning. Yeah, I think that. So
Yeah.
I buy enough time for kidding.
Yeah. I
Thank
mean,
you.
I watched I watched the G2 vs Fly series, and after watching it, I really struggled to figure out if either team won or if both teams just lost, because it was an appalling series. It truly was. Like, somehow G2 are almost losing that game 3 with like the most unkillable Mundo and a Jax against 4 auto-attacking champions. It's like, okay, how do we keep throwing this over and over again? It took like a really good Shockwave Mundo Flash combo. New combo just dropped, I guess, to end up getting that one across the line. And, admittedly, G2 did win and clearly were the stronger team than FlyQuest. But ultimately, I mean, FlyQuest really, truly do embody the American spirit, because by God, were they free. I mean, game 1 was just, like, it was close, but, like, was it really? It was like CFO giving them hand-me-downs, and then we still ended up winning. And then game 2, it was absolute trouncing. Draven, the Doggo Draven they banned 380 carries first of all. Doggo still gets his Draven and then just dismantles them. So I don't know, man. LEC clearly better than LTA, but I think both of them are worse than CFO. So it's all good.
I think I apologize to the LEC or LTA fan. I was like filming after the draw that met G2 and FlyQuest. And one of them gonna make it to quarterfinal, and CFO they have to go like a gauntlet of all the LCK and LPL team. And from my experience, this is a World Championship. The Swiss say that the Raw really favor Western team.
Yeah,
I mean,
it did.
G2 beat FlyQuest to be in the top 8, right? And
Yeah.
and before FlyQuest, they play MCOY. So 2 Western team in a row.
Yeah.
And FlyQuest, their draw is a little bit like really light for a seed 1. And they have only play one LCK team like in T1. So a lot of favorite draw for Western team to make it to top 8.
Biased.
Yeah. And I'm telling my stream like every day that if for the last draw, CFO not get FlyQuest or MCOY and get another like LPL or LCK team to in the final match, I'm gonna be like really, really, really angry if someone get the draw. So we got FlyQuest and CFO. So yeah.
True. To be fair, like FlyQuest and G2 did have very easy schedules comparative to CFO, but BLG somehow had an easier schedule and still failed to make it out. So I guess the schedule doesn't mean everything, really, because that was a true fall from grace from BLG. But how does that even happen? That is beautiful.
Nobody can imagine what happening to BLG. I really don't think they can even win a kind of medium opponent. So they felt 0-2 today and lose every single match. They think they can win. So BLG, bye bye. Never see you again. Bye bye, BLG.
Bye bye.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, BLG's overall run was incredibly disappointing, and this is coming from someone that covers the LPL just as much as the LCP. And BLG, they won the most recent split against Top Esports. So especially with their final 2-2 draw, it was BLG versus Top Esports. And a lot of people were expecting BLG to win today. Out of all of their games, they're just up against Top Esports. They're playing in China. Top Esports is going to treat it as a domestic game. So I don't know, but I think BLG, they've been quite up and down throughout the entire year, especially with their jungle swaps. And as everyone knows, they have 2 junglers. One is Beichuan, one is Shadow. And a lot of people share this opinion that Shadow is their main jungler. And unfortunately, Beichuan just hasn't been really working out. And I think I saw this stat where Beichuan is actually on a 5-game loss streak with BLG every time he is subbed in. So it was quite a shocker for him to also be subbed in for that game 3, which was a life-death situation against Top Esports in that elimination. But I think BLG, they need to change the roster up. They have really, really talented players, but I think just the team was too dysfunctional throughout the entire year. We saw the potential, like just mechanic potential from their solo laners, and we know how Elk plays. We know On back in the day could be one of the best supports, but I don't know about his recent activity. He's been very suspicious. We need to like vote him out or something, like Among Us style. But they need to find the mojo again, and I think we'll see a different type of BLG. But I really, really want to see Bin, Knight, and Elk stay together because I think they are truly some of the strongest carries that they offer in the LPL.
Yeah.
For me,
Can I? Oh, sorry.
Ben, you can.
I was just, yeah, I was gonna say, Lou. This was to you, Lou, because I'm coming back to the West getting easy draws, right? So
Okay.
we get our quarterfinals draws. Get this: CFO get the entirety of the LCK.
And G2 rooftop esports are very
Top esports,
underwhelming.
yeah,
And
top
yeah,
esports,
G2
AL
can
and T1.
totally
Are you-
got to G2 esports can go to semi-final with the easiest draw ever.
Yeah, we just get the whole of LCK, man. Are you kidding? Like, we didn't get T1, the worst LCK team, and we get Hanwha Life, Genji, and KT. Are you for real? What is going on?
It's not just
Okay,
about
I have
lucky.
a bit of. Oh, yes? Sorry.
No, I just want to say G2 is just not about lucky. It's a lot of lucky for G2. A best draft ever. Wow. You can imagine that
Very,
G2 and Top
very
Esport.
lucky.
Yep.
Like a rematch as well. I do want to say that historically, since the Swiss stage has been introduced to Worlds, a lot of the teams that go 3-0 end up not doing so great after the quarterfinals. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but because the break from the 3-0 to the quarterfinal is like 1 week or so, I wonder if it's because they don't get that like adrenaline from playing on stage and their hands are cold. And I think that's a very important factor. Like some people, like their hands need to be warm and they need to have the motivation and adrenaline from the previous match to like keep going. So maybe even the KT 3-0 first LCK team out of the Swiss stage could face CFO and struggle a little bit.
I
Yeah.
hope that's gonna be true because if the N1's Legend and the KT, the 2-3-0 team don't have a great performance in the playoffs, so I gonna have CFO and T1 to piece of my love win, so I can dream about another champions for the Faker or Hongkyu, the first title in his career. So the both way is great too. I love that.
I mean, Hongkyu got lucky, I think, because before the tournament he said that there's two players he want to meet in World Championship. The first one is Faker and the second one is BDD. So now he got to meet like both of them, and he beat the first one. Now
Yeah, and Zeka as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, he could meet all four if he beats KT. By the way, I actually think they will beat KT. That's not my issue. My issue is they beat KT into immediately seeing Genji. They're like, oh, awesome.
I mean, if they beat T1
Hey.
and then they beat KT, who said they can not beat the third team?
Yeah.
The opinion is if you want to become the best, you have to beat the best.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So,
But like, I wouldn't mind an easy path to the finals. You know, I'm not going to say no to that.
Yeah, I mean, there's something funny because I think the last time where we as a Vietnamese community called another Taiwanese team as our region, we got the World Championship in the GBL.
That's right.
So maybe like the second time we in the same our region. So that's gonna be a side, right?
Exactly. And same lineup: 4 Taiwanese, 1 Hong Kong. It's just written itself at this point. Like, it should happen.
And TBA has a sub. They have a 6 people roster. They have a female esports player as a sub in 2012, Kolalin.
Oh, there we go.
So yeah, we have a lot of similarity right now. 6-man roster, stuff like that.
Yeah. And then Chowie was on TPA obviously after that, but hey, there's connections.
So the Team Secret will only lose to the world champions. Oh, that's great. I want to see that. I want to see that. CFO the champions of the 2025.
There's a lot of hopium, but I love it.
the quarterfinal Raws from G2 fan we have here. How your you gotta how's your team gonna fare against
I'm just
the
labeled G2 fan.
former G2 employee? Is that
Um,
correct?
yes,
Yes.
former G2 employee. If anyone's looking for a social media person, I'm free. Anyways, so quarterfinals just happened, and I just reacted to it onto the YouTube channel, and I was like, okay, so you have T1 versus AL, which is crazy as a quarterfinals series, best of five, by the way. There is no second chance. If you lose, you are out. Brutal. And then you have KT CFO, which honestly I think is more 50-50. And then G2 had a 10% chance on getting a top esports, I believe. It was either Genji, Life, or top esports. So this is where all the biasy comes in. It's like, oh my god, how could they get the worst LPL team going into quarterfinals? But you know what? Caps was the main character of this year's MB. For real. This year's Sacrifice song, he was in the song the most. And I don't want to be that person, but the songs are usually quite accurate on what's going to happen. So who knows, you know? And I think for our final one, it's Hanwha Life versus Genji, which I think is really sad because it's an LCK battle, and one of them will be going home. It's either Chovi's World Run or Peanut's Last Dance. So I think that one's quite a shame, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
It's a heartbreaking draw for the LCK fan, right? Genji and Hanwha Sport.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
suffering from
mean,
success, I think, because they have four teams.
well, that could be a finals. That like actually could just be a world finals. So it does kind of suck to see it in the quarters.
I think
And
that's brutal, really brutal, because
But
we want no more one strong team in the tournament.
mhm, I want to say one thing. Genji and T1 are on opposite brackets for 2025 Worlds. Ooh,
True.
maybe? If
I
we get an
mean,
interesting final, that might be a timeline.
so the only thing that beat a CFO final for me is Genji T1 final in Chengdu.
Yeah,
Like after a CFO final.
the
Of
biggest
course.
viewership ever in the
Yeah, true.
history of the world. The biggest viewership.
But T1 have to get past the best performance team of the tournament so far. AL
Yep.
can do that. Can they do that?
Well, they have seemingly have superpowers against the LPL. You know, like they just never lose to the LPL when it comes to internationals. So it's so impossible to count T1 out. You know, like every bit of logic in my brain tells me that T1 looks really bad right now, but I still cannot say they're going to get eliminated because they never do. So it's like you're a fool now to say that they're just going to be eliminated because they just always find a way.
They still carry that LPL Slayer aura, but Anyone's Legend show already proved that they can bloody the top team in this tournament. So I think this matchup will be just a test if the T1 still can have what it takes, or Anyone's Legend will flip the script. I call it the script, and send them home early. So it's not just about the rivalry. I think it's about the legacy. I thought about some really big story about along with that, but I think this match is gonna be great.
I do think it's very scary that on the top side of the bracket, you have two LPL teams, and it's the T1 side, and then the other one is CFO surrounded by LCK teams. So it's like T1 never lose to the LPL. There is a world where it's either going to be AL or T1 going to the semifinal. And then you have hopefully CFO, but then Genji is such a powerhouse right now. How if you were to play against Genji as the CFO draft and the coach, how would you tackle Genji? What's the solution?
Well, I don't think you need to worry too much because CFO have actually beaten AL more at this tournament than Gen G. So by process of just, co-aligning them, CFO are in fact better than Gen G already. So I don't think we have to worry about too much.
I agree. I mean,
He's a boy.
we gonna still have our pick'em for the playoff, right?
Yeah, I've done mine already, mate. You know exactly who I put as winning.
You would CFO S3, so I know who's gonna be in the final. But the other bracket, who's gonna be in the final to be beaten by CFO?
I've got the tab right here. Let me see. I got T1 now.
Okay.
Okay,
Ooh,
so this is
T1
the
CFO is good though.
the final part of our podcast today. Yeah, our prediction for the final. We have like Ben with a bracket that's Silver gonna go to a final and face T1 in the final. And the reason?
The reason?
No,
Well,
the final say. Who's gonna be our world champion?
CTBC Flying Oyster. Like it's just undeniable at this point. Doggo, the best AD carry at Worlds. Junja is the best jungler at Worlds, and nothing else matters because jungle. Everyone's played solo queue before here. Everyone knows that jungle is the most broken role, and if you have the best jungler in the world, you just can't lose. And that, ladies and gentlemen, we do have Junja. He's got a divine right, and it's time for him to show it.
Thank you, Ben. Our caster Rachel, your bracket for the final part of World Championship.
For me, as a 12 years T1 fans, I never trust our team. So if the Nexus still alive, I think anyone's legend won the champions of the World 2025. AL want to take down everybody to bring the champions title to LPL for the first time after a long time to wait.
What about the other bracket? Who's going to be in the final to be beaten by AL?
I think we have EWC rematch. That's great. We're gonna be anyone's legend and Gen G.
Genji. Yeah, that sounds like a fire final. Kitty?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have two preferred finals for 2025. So I am really superstitious. It's Faker's potential third trophy on T1. And back in SKT T1, it was also Faker's third potential trophy in 2017. Who was on the enemy team? Ruler. Where was it? China. Who's on the other side of the bracket? Gen G. T1 Gen G, different brackets in China 2025. So I'm thinking history always repeats itself. It's going to be Gen G T1 in the finals. It's going to be absolutely fire. I know it's going to be an LCK versus LCK battle, but I think it's either going to be Faker overrides his history from 2017. He gets his revenge against Ruler, or Ruler once again puts the same stop to Faker's dynasty on T1, which I think is absolutely banger narrative coming in. The other reality that I would like to see is the LPL finally get something, or CFO win, because for the past 3 years it's been a lot of LCK teams winning, and I would like to see some diversity just to revive the hype for the community, for the fans, and to get some competition going. I know T1 fans always love when T1 win, but I would also like to see like some other teams winning from time to time as well.
Yeah.
If
Thank
you pick the T1 Kitty, I already know Faker was he gonna say in the final trailers. Faker gonna say the sixth trophy is for Kitty. If you want, you pick a T1. Yeah. I also write a script. The sixth trophy is for Kitty. Yeah. I can note it down for the
I'm
people
gonna
do the script.
cry. I've never cried. Okay, I've cried 3 times for League of Legends. Number 1, 2017, Samsung Galaxy beats SKT T1. Faker cries on his chair. Number 2, Deft makes quarterfinals after 8 years in 2022, and he starts choking up in his interview. Real men cry. I am a real man and a real fan. And then recently, CFO beat T1, and I was choking up as well. So hopefully, I feel like this year there's a lot to unpack for just LoL esports in general, and I have a lot of interesting ideas which I hope will also play out with the following games.
We have like so far we have a really interesting and lot of banger in our World Championship, and I hope we have a like similar storyline down the line with the quarterfinal, semi-final, and the final. Before we end the broadcast, anything else you want to say to the audience, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I want to. I don't know how many fans from Taiwan might see this, but I want to take a moment to like congratulate them for their unending support of a region that, for a long time, has been forgotten by the rest of the world and sort of disrespected in many ways. I think for them, today was a massive milestone for them as fans, and it's been like a pleasure for me to bring the PCS in the past to them. Well, spread the word of the PCS in the past, rather. And now, it's an honor of mine to be involved in this region that has now been part of such a historic moment. And I think the Taiwan fans in particular, but the larger fans of all the LCP should feel really, really proud of what's been achieved today.
Okay, for me, I just say a lot to the audience in the Vietnamese. So, thank yous for the all international audience for listening this. I don't have a lot of chance to use English that much. And thank you for all my friends. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Kitty. And thank you, my brother, Lou, to come here with me. That's such my big honor to hear to share about my opinion for everybody. Thank you, everyone, for having me. Yeah, thank you.
And thank you so much for having me on the Blunt Talk. I really appreciate these chats where we get to share our opinions and, of course, share it to the fans that are watching behind the screens. And thank you so much for cheering for the LCP all year long. I'm glad that you guys have been enjoying everything we've been providing, from the casters to the co-streamers to the players to the content, everything. I really appreciate all of your support, and I'm really glad to see that we have a lot of communities combining together and sharing the love as a whole.
And for me, thank you, the lifelong CFO supporter, Ben, the 12 years T1 fan, Rachel, the former G2 employee, Kitty, for right timing, Kitty. This was perfect
I feel like I
timing, Kitty.
graduated.
Where does this come from? Where does this come from?
Thank you, everyone.
Mr. Producer is trolling me.
Technician, give me that. Give me that technician. Where's my...
Thank you for taking your precious time from your crazy schedule during the World Championship. Thank for all the audience for your time to the LCP Blood Talk podcast, and we hope that all of us have a wonderful World Championship 2025 playoff ahead. Thank you, and see you again.